Warning, high winds approaching, water level rising, temperature increasing, voltage overloading.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1263 of our daily content grind. And before we begin with said content, a quick little reminder that I'm still selling things on eBay, and I thank everyone who has made a purchase so far. I'm now recovering from the trip over the weekend, meaning it is helping out a lot, and hopefully you find something that you have been wanting. So throughout the week, I'm going to be throwing a few more things up. The link is going to be in the description of the video, pretty much all week. I'll be reminding people on Blue Sky of what new stuff is going up. Just added a bunch of Flame Toys model kits that are long out of print, including a Shattered Glass Prime that is really expensive now. Like, I'm actually shocked. And also, again, I don't know why it doesn't say free delivery. All of my stuff is marked free delivery, so that will be fixed by the time you watch this video. And I'll be adding things as I dig them up. Hopefully by the time you see this, there will be a Magic Square Legends Optimus added to the listing as well. So just keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. I'm throwing a bunch of things on there in the next few days. But that's not what we're really here to talk about. That's not content. This is content. Hasbro has announced their new strategy to take them through the next couple years, where they are planning to essentially right the ship. One of the topics that I've kind of debated going over lately has been, like, how much trouble are we in? Like, us as, like, people who are fans of the Hasbro franchises, how much trouble is this company really in? Because it just seems like we're just getting bad news on top of bad news on top of bad news. But you know what? It's like any other mega corporation. There are dips, there are downs and ups, downs and ups. Hasbro's been on the downswing before, they'll be on the upswing again. It's just a matter of adjustment. So now they have announced their brand new strategy, which is playing to win. It's usually why you play things. I don't know if you've realized this, you're usually trying to win. New concept, I'm aware. That said, I wanted to focus on this a little bit and actually kind of talk about my thoughts on this, because I'm not entirely sold on this. This is frankly a lot of words, and there's a lot of corporate speak and a lot of corporate jargon that doesn't mean anybody to anyone who does not make a six-figure salary. But we will dissect what we can, because this is pertinent to Transformer fans. You know, we know that this franchise could definitely use some help, so maybe this is gonna be good. Maybe I don't know. Let's actually go into what we're actually talking about here. Okay, so this is part of the fourth quarter financial call that Hasbro did, which, if you don't know, like, quarters work a little bit differently in the business world than they do in the real world calendar sense. Okay, so let's just go over this. This is the quick summary from TFW 2005, so we don't have to read the entire thing. Hasbro has unveiled its new strategic plan, Playing to Win, which will guide the company through 2027. The plan focuses on expanding its audience from 500 million to 750 million through play-fueled engagement and partnerships. I'm not entirely sure how they get to that number. Obviously, that's a worldwide number. Not exactly sure how they calculate that, but basically they want 50% more people on board with Hasbro brands for the next 2 years. I think that's a little bit lofty, if I'm going to be honest with you. And even if we account for, like, the literal sense of these words, through 2027 means this is a 3-year plan. And even then, getting 250 million more people on board with what you're doing, that's a bit of a stretch. So we'll see how that goes. Hasbro expects mid-single-digit revenue growth. So keep in mind, the revenue for Hasbro is overall down, so any growth is good. In corporate world, they don't care about viability. They don't care how viable you are. They don't care how consistent you are. All they care about is growth. The only thing that matters to them is growth, because that's what makes all of their stocks and investments more valuable. So any kind of growth is good. Mid-single digit, like a 5% growth on a $6 billion company, That's actually a pretty significant number. Operating profit margins and $1 billion in cost saving by 2027. So even if we break that down into, like, they're cutting $500 million in spending every year, for the next 2 years. That's a lot. That's a lot of cost cutting. We've already seen that with the downsizing in the Transformers department, where a lot of the people making the really big bucks, because they have a lot of experience and they're really good at what they're doing, aren't with Hasbro anymore. They chopped all those big contracts because that's what you do with cost cutting. If someone seems expensive, you don't keep them around. And then you hope that whoever takes over can do the exact same job. Sometimes they cannot. Okay, so CEO Chris Cox emphasizes Hasbro's strength in games and licensing, highlighting franchises like Magic the Gathering, Monopoly, and Dungeons and Dragons. You will notice, so all of those are tabletop games. They did not mention toys as part of the strategy because Chris Cox is a gamer. He comes from Xbox, meaning he really only wants, he's really game focused, not playable action figure and toy focused. CFO Gina Gautier, I'm going to hope I pronounced that right, reinforced the company's goal of becoming one of the most profitable toy and game companies globally, which of course is what you're after. Of course that's what you're after. Playing to win strategic pillars include: number 1, profitable franchises, asserting the fundamentals of profitable play-focused brands. Okay, let's hit these one at a time, shall we? Let's break down the thoughts here. For profitable franchises, well, we know Transformers is among them because they are still expanding the Transformers brand to include other offerings, the Hearts of Steel, and the collaborative stuff like, the Rathalos. We know that's all working out well and good for Hasbro because we know, according to the last reports they had, Transformers was one of the few toy markets that actually had a little bit of growth. It actually did okay. So we know Transformers are still profitable, there is still a high demand for them, and obviously they are still expanding what Transformers is. But we will be frank here, a lot of their other franchises have been struggling. Star Wars is struggling, Marvel is struggling, G.I. Joe is barely existent. But a lot of that just comes down to things that aren't Hasbro's fault. It's not Hasbro's fault that the Marvel movies are not connecting to audiences the way they used to. It's not Hasbro's fault that the Star Wars franchise is not producing media that's capturing people's attention. Oh, by the way, farewell Kathleen Kennedy, ding dong, the witch is dead. I'm sorry. When 4 out of 5 of your products and concepts all suck and nobody wants them, you should have been out of a job a long time ago. I'm gonna be bluntly honest about that. Point being, Transformers isn't quite that situation, but we also have a failing in the movie department where we can't really get the movies to connect to profit anymore like we used to. It's mostly relying on the stalwart collectors like myself that are still, driving their profits. Which I think is why we're seeing so many collector-based initiatives with Transformers. But we're going to get to that here in a bit too, because number 2, aging up, increasing the play and collectible appeal for fans aged 13 and above across Hasbro's brands. See, they know that the toy market is starting to include a lot of older fans and, adults. It's becoming a more and more common hobby for adults. It's not nearly as ostracized as it used to be an adult toy collector. It's just kind of a thing now, So, when it comes to Transformers, we've talked about this on this channel before, and I still very, very much stand by this. Because Hasbro has kept their main lines so kid-focused and so targeted to a younger age, that I really feel like it's hurting the brand at this point. You go to your Targets right now, go to your Walmarts, you're still going to see a ton of Transformers 1 stuff, and what are you going to see? You're going to see a retool of an RID 2015 Minicon shooter toy, retooled into Megatron, that doesn't even look like Transformers 1 Megatron. You're going to see a bunch of one-step changers and gimmicky little fighter figures. You're going to see the Bot Shot 2-pack that they didn't even bother retooling. They just repainted it, repacked it, and sent it back out again, ignoring the fact that, you know, these toys died almost a decade ago because no one wanted them then. I've said it before. Your brand is going to look bad if you go into a toy shelf and look around and go, all these toys look bad. You have got to actually produce something that looks cool because kids want to play with the cool toys. They want to play with the toys that the cool kids have, that the older kids have. You know, a lot of, okay, these little flippy gimmicks will keep them distracted for like maybe a day, but they're going to get bored of it. And it's not really what they're after. You're basically insulting kids' intelligence by marketing strictly to these extremely young demographics here. We've known from Hasbro strategies in the past, they kind of abandoned a demographic between like elementary school kids and older like high school kids, that middle school range. We know that they intentionally don't market to, and I think there is your big mistake. You know, if you're trying to expand the brand, why are you targeting all of your mainline stuff toward very young children and then jumping straight into like adult collectibles? It's a big mistake if you ask me. And it makes the brand look cheap. I hate how cheap the current toy lines make the brand look when you look in a store. And they're not the only ones who do this either. Like, you can also go find a ton of the New Empire toys for Godzilla and Kong, and they suffer the exact same problem. The toys look really, really cheap. You know, they don't really look fun and engaging. You know, I picked up a couple because I like the movie that much, but they're just not good. You know, it's Playmates. We've seen the Ninja Turtle toys. We know they can do really good toys at an affordable price. So why do I have Godzillas that only have 4 points of articulation? Well, how does that... It's frustrating, right? It's like I shouldn't have to go to another company just to get a well-sculpted and, like, movie-accurate Godzilla, but here I am waiting for the Hayatoy release just to get a decent Shimu. It's frustrating. Shimo. Someone's going to correct me in the comments. But you know what? Who didn't have that problem? Really? Sonic. Sonic 3 did fantastic. Extremely well-received movie. You know, very popular. Great word of mouth. It is a good movie. And you know what I can't find? I can't find the toys anywhere. You know, I decided a little bit late that I wanted the main 4 furries from the movie. I found a Tails, went back to a Target that had Knuckles last time I was there. Knuckles is gone. I have not seen a single Hedgehog on the shelves in a long time. Maybe a Supersonic here and there, but I'm not after a Supersonic. I want the main cast. I want Shadow, I want Sonic, I want Tails, I want Knuckles, and all I have right now is one Tails. And I like Tails, but I like the rest of the cast, please. And that's what you want. That's what you want. You want, like, can barely keep it on the shelf. But that's what happens when you release a really good looking toy line when the movie is out. And when the iron is hot. You know, Playmates and Hasbro made the same mistake. They made crap toy lines when the movie was out and nobody wanted them because they looked crap. But, you know, you put out a good set of toys that actually function well, look good, right at the launch of the movie. And guess what? It actually sells. So yeah, they need to age things up a little bit. They need to make their brands cooler overall. Okay, next up, Everyone Plays. So, expanding reach into opportunity areas including girls and emerging markets. Emerging markets usually mean adult collectors, which is continuing to expand. But reaching out to the girl market, I think, is also incredibly important right now. Because of the internet especially, the gender gap between brands, the walls between these brands, are starting to wear down and thin out a lot. We have a lot more female Transformer fans than we used to. It's not strictly a boys' club anymore, and it's wrong to view it as such. You know, Hasbro learned with My Little Pony. You can create something that appeals to both genders. And you can create something that appeals to not only both genders, but young and older fans as well. You know, Friendship is Magic was lightning in a bottle. And they should learn from that and know that it is absolutely possible to capture the attention of literally everybody with the same brand. And all you really have to do is make really good media and support it with really good merchandise. It's really that simple, and yet they've been messing this up for a long time with the Transformer franchise, and it is frustrating. But I am glad to see that they are trying to get out of like the gender roles, and they're trying to appeal to girls as well. Hopefully that means more female Transformers. Hopefully that means more, outreach to female fans, make it more acceptable to be a female fan, young or old. We had problems like this with She-Ra. So I think She-Ra is a franchise that traditionally aims at girls, but the new Netflix show didn't really do that. I think the Netflix show was great for any gender to watch. I didn't feel like, me as a guy, I didn't feel like I was being like pushed aside or like minimalized by the media that I was watching. It felt like, okay, this is just a really, really good show. It just happened to star a lot of really pretty female characters, and that was it. But when it comes to the marketing of it, they release a handful of Barbie-esque dolls and no real action figures. Nothing that a boy could comfortably buy and play with. When it comes to like any kind of collectible that I would be, like one of the holy grails I have that I'm never going to get. Super 7 did a 2-pack of She-Ra and Catra that actually were show accurate, and they were basic action figures, but they were normal action figures. That says now over $400, and I'm never going to own it. And this is a licensing nightmare between Mattel and DreamWorks, meaning getting new toys of this franchise, this particular iteration of She-Ra, no matter how popular it was, is a nightmare. And that's incredibly frustrating. I can't even get Funko Pops of these designs. How bad is that? But no, they limited themselves because they produced something that all genders and ages could appreciate and enjoy and watch, and then they did nothing for the boys' side of the aisle. So hopefully they can do something similar with Transformers, and then learn something from this and like try to appeal to both sides. Would be nice. Digital and direct, and this just kind of comes from who is running. Building video game services and e-commerce capabilities. This one we don't have to spend long on because we talked about this in the past. Chris Cox is a former executive from Xbox. He is very video game focused, and let's be honest here. We love our toys. We love Hasbro as a toy franchise, as a toy producer. But let's be real here. Let's be absolutely real with ourselves. Video games are dominating the market right now, and kids are more interested in video games than they are toys. That's just truth of the matter. So it's not an incorrect assumption to go, maybe we should be looking into more digital entertainment. That's correct. We do know there's a new mobile game coming for Transformers. Hopefully it is something that is appealing and is actually well made. We're also waiting on news of a new AAA level Transformer game potentially being developed by Saber. Don't know if that's actually going to come through or not. It's just rumor. It could very well be another Baldur's Gate or Magic the Gathering video game. We just know it's a tentpole IP for Hasbro. Point being, it's not incorrect to go, we should probably expand to video gaming. Because frankly, the most profitable realms for Hasbro right now, Baldur's Gate 3, which made them a ton of money, and Monopoly Go, which is making an absurd amount of money for a mobile game. That is why they mention these types. That's why they mention Monopoly and things, because right now Monopoly is doing extremely well for them. So yeah, it's not incorrect to go the digital way is the route. We just have to hope that they still focus well on the toys. And like we said, Transformers is still a profiting Transformer toy brand. So we're safe. For now, we are safe. We know there's plans for Transformers for like the next 2 or 3 years. We're fine. We'll be fine. Partner scale, driving profitable reach through outstanding retail and licensing partnerships. Now, we have seen this going toward Transformers in things like the Monster Hunter collab, which did well enough that they're doing a second release, even though it's just a repaint, still means it did well. We know with all the collaboratives that worked out really, really well. And even outside of that, Magic the Gathering right now, the big excitement is the Final Fantasy stuff that's coming out in June. I don't play Magic, but I'm going to learn how to play Commander just so I can buy that Final Fantasy VI deck and understand how it works, because I'm so excited Final Fantasy VI is actually getting some love and attention. Square Enix forgets that there are numbers before 7, and it annoys me a lot. But it's working. The licensing stuff, by my excitement for Magic the Gathering alone, you can tell it is working, and it will pull in new audiences. And hey, if I actually sit down and go, wow, this is actually kind of fun, I'm going to be into Magic again, which hasn't been a thing since high school. Help! Help! But this is actually a topic that has been pretty hot lately because of these. We just got our first reveal of the Playmates Power Ranger toy line Reignition. We might have to do another video on this one all by itself because, I have reservations, and it's not to a hotel or a restaurant. I have big concerns here. I have concerns over a toy maker who can look at a toy design that has existed for approximately 30 years and still doesn't know that the shoulder pauldrons are supposed to be raised up. We might talk about that later this week. For now, though, yeah, a lot of people are concerned about things like this because this is already seeming like it's not going very well. But let's keep in mind, Hasbro puts these partnerships out and these licenses all over the place. Like, the worry here is that Hasbro is just going to become a license farm, that they just have all these popular IPs that they own and they let everybody else make all their stuff for them. Rest assured, that's not necessarily going to happen. They are currently only doing this for the less profiting brands, and if they do something to reignite Power Rangers or G.I. Joe and actually make them more successful as a modern thing, if they have a new project lined up for them that's going to reignite the line, they can be done under Hasbro again. It's just a license. Hasbro can do Power Rangers again anytime they want. And like I said, not all of these are bad, like Super 7's doing O-ring G.I. Joe figures, and they're animation accurate, so it's offering something a little bit different too, otherwise they are designed and built the same way as the toys from the 80s. They're overpriced like everything Reactivate, but you know what, they exist. They seem to be doing well. G.I. Joe collectors seem to be happy, so I'm not gonna knock that. Okay, so there's other concerns here. So let's read this little last bit. Hasbro is exiting non-core businesses like E1 Film and TV, which does not mean that they are getting out of films or TV shows in general. It just means they're going to let somebody else handle it 100%, which is what they used to do, by the way. While investing in digital gaming, collaborations, and brand expansion in areas like themed hotels, cruise ships, and quick service restaurants. Now we've seen quick service restaurants done in Asia for Transformers. We also know that, going back to the Sonic comparison, there are pop-up Sonic restaurants right now too. So things like that work out. I don't know what you're going to do with, now, a D&D themed hotel. That might actually be kind of cool. I don't know about a cruise ship. You convince me that I'm taking a cruise on Broadside. Okay, sure. Additionally, Hasbro is modernizing its operation, supply chain, and AI-driven advancements to fuel innovation while maintaining its commitment to community and environmental impact. Hasbro. And I know, I've been talking about this company for way too many years for nobody at Hasbro to be watching. Somebody, I don't care if you're taking out the trash. You're at Hasbro. Someone tell them, if you're going to embrace AI-created nonsense, your community is going to reject it because it always has. And it continues to. Magic the Gathering got in trouble last year because they put out some artwork that they swore up and down was human-made, and that, no, we can see that it wasn't. We see that it is AI-created. And they got in trouble for it. We actively rejected it. And they don't learn. Because this is how they're going to make that $1 billion in cuts. They're going to cut artists, they're going to cut writers, they're going to cut whoever they can doing anything creative so that they can just have a machine chop up a whole bunch of other people's work and regurgitate them out for cheap. That's going to be really, really disgusting if that's how it comes. I've already had concerns about some of the box art in Transformers lately. I'm going to lay off of that because I really don't have any proof that it is AI generated. I just know it doesn't look good. So they are either AI generating or they're using less talented, cheaper artists. One or the other. I don't know which it is. Either way, I don't like the direction this is going in because no. Just no. That's my big worry here out of all of this, is that it's going to replace a lot of the creative work with a lot of machines. And I think, when you hear the Transformer guys on the streams talking about like the design work that went into the characters and like the sculpting work and like just to imagine where all that is done in AI, like can you imagine how soulless everything would become? Like that's what I don't want. And I want everyone to, if they start pushing AI, reject it. I'm not sure if I would stick around in this brand. Much as I love this brand, I'm not sure if I would stick around in it if that's the future for it. But we don't know exactly how the AI is going to be used, or if it even is generative AI that's replacing creative work. We don't know that for sure. So I'm going to bite my tongue for now, and we're just going to wait and see. But the language is not promising. You can read the entire release, the entire press release over at TFW 2005. I'm not going to go over the whole thing for you or repeat it. Needless to say, it sounds like some of the things that I think need to be changed are actually happening, but there's also directions it's going to give me a lot of reservations and a lot of bad feelings. But this is apparently what we're going to be getting out of Hasbro, so at least there's toys in the mix. We know for the very least for the next 3 years they're still making toys. So let's not be doom and gloom about that. Hasbro's not going anywhere, and hopefully this gets them like back to where they were, and we don't have to like we don't have to start getting doom and gloom about Hasbro folding as a company after 164 years. We'll be okay. Don't worry. But that's going to be the video for the day. That is me breaking down some corporate jargon for you. And, hopefully tomorrow will be a little bit more toy-etic, because I know that's a little bit more interesting. So, that does it for me. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.